Hello folks, this is Renee with Fraley Farm Mini Homestead. We're getting ready to make grape juice. Somebody gifted me 30 bags of grapes, and man, are we getting ready to put this steam juice extractor to work. This is what this bad boy looks like. So let's get at it and we'll get started. First thing you want to do is you want to put 3 quarts of water in the base of this. The way this looks, it has 3 levels. The first level on the bottom is where the water goes, okay? That's your water chamber. And here is where the spout sticks out, okay? So you can drain it off. The middle section looks like a bump pan. And so what happens is with your top section, it's got holes in it, and obviously this is where the fruit will go. You'll fill this to the top as much as you can. So as the heat and the steam comes upward into the pans, your steam will cause juice to be released from the top level, which will then drop the juice through the hose into this section. And then after a while, you're ready to go ahead and start draining it off. First thing you want to do is to prep the bottom pan. And like I said, you're going to put 3 cups of water in the bottom. I'm also going to add a marble, and I don't have another marble, so I'm going to use a glass rock because that helps to be your indicator to know if you need to add more water in the bottom. So what you're listening for is at the very beginning, every once in a while you'll kind of hear the marbles hit the bottom of the pan. But if you start noticing that the marbles are hitting more often, then you will know that you need to add more water. All right, I want to make a correction because earlier I had said 3 cups of water. That should be 3 quarts of water, okay? So I used the quart jars. So I'm gonna go ahead and heat this up on high so I can get this water boiling and steaming. While it's heating, you want to keep the top on the pan so that way the steam will stay in and it will heat up much faster. So now I'm going to go ahead and prepare my grapes and get them ready to go into the top area. All right, so we're getting these grapes going. Most of these grapes are in really good condition, but you may run across a couple that have some rotten areas in it. You know, of course, don't use the rotten grapes. If they're in good shape, reasonable condition, I'm gonna keep them, okay? But if they're all rotted, they gotta go. We got too many grapes to deal with and to be worried about just a few that's in not good shape, okay? So pretty much when you use a steam juice extractor, you do not necessarily have to remove the stems. You can leave the stems on here. So you can see I've got a lot of the stems in the water. This is distilled vinegar and water, and I let these soak for about 15-20 minutes. I'm getting ready to rinse these off, strain these in a colander, and then go ahead and put them in the juice extractor, okay? So we'll go ahead and get started. Here on this side, I'm just kind of rinsing them off. Like I said, this is kind of a big stem, and I don't want it to take up too much space. So I pull some of them off. If I don't get them, I just don't. I don't want the great big stems. The small stems is not going to be too bad, okay? But anyway, after they've soaked for about 15 minutes, they're ready to go, okay? This water is dirty, well, because the grapes are dirty, you know? When you get any fruit from the grocery store, you want to go ahead and soak them first and kind of get as much of the dirt and impurities off of them that you can. If you've got some grapes that are beat up, they're kind of look ratty, it's not going to hurt them, okay? So we're just getting the juice out of them, even if the fruit does look imperfect, okay? And again, I use distilled vinegar rather than apple cider vinegar, but you can use whichever you choose. You just don't want to leave it in the vinegar for too long. You don't want it to take on a pickled taste. There's my crazy water again, making all that racket. And like I say, if they're imperfect, that's okay. But if it's rotten, we'll leave that one behind. Okay, so I'm going to rinse these really well And then I'm going to go ahead and get them in the top layer of my steam juice extractor. We'll be back. All right, so we're back. I've got the grapes in the top row, or the top section here, and you can see all the steam that has collected in the top. Actually, I'm going to turn this around, and I'm going to turn on my fan on the stove. You can hear the sound of the marble in the bottom in the water. I actually went ahead and took that little glass bead out because it was just sounding like a bug hitting on some glass. That thing was driving me crazy. I had to get that out of there. But I did leave the marble, and I'll just be listening for it. Usually it takes about an hour, hour and a half, and you'll start noticing the difference in the sound of the marble, and then you'll know that you need to add some more water. But usually about every 35-40 minutes I'll check it, just kind of lift up that middle pan, and my son comes in and we kind of eyeball it and just make sure it doesn't need any more water added to it. After about 45 minutes or so, you'll start noticing that the level of the grapes or the fruit that you put in the top will significantly decrease. You can add sugar to this if you want to, but these grapes are already super sweet, and I want to see how it tastes first without adding any additional sugar. Also, after about a half hour, 45 minutes, you can get a warm, sanitized mason jar and go ahead and start draining off some of this juice. The first batch of juice, usually about the first half of a quart, I will pour back into the top. Sometimes too, once it starts cooking, I may add a little bit of water into the top of it, and that also helps to, to pull more juice out of the fruit. All right, we'll be back here shortly. All right, I want to show you guys something. So this is my next batch of grapes that are soaking in the vinegar brine to clean. These have absolutely no stems present because I'm going to make grape jam with these. Now, I want to show you what I'm going to be doing with my waste products. So the grape stems will go to my rabbits because, I raise meat rabbits. They love to eat grape stems, okay? The moldy grapes, along with any paper towels or anything of that sort, they're going to go to my compost worms because I have red wigglers and they don't care what they eat, okay? And then I've got the imperfect grapes, which will go to my chickens, and I'll toss a few in there for the quail to enjoy as well. All right, we should be back here soon, y'all. Hopefully we can get some juice off. All right, let's check these out. So y'all can see my grapes have blanched. They have gotten extremely low and very pale. So I'm going to take my immersion blender and I'm going to put it down in there and kind of beat them up just a little bit. I'm getting my canning jars ready. I went ahead and got them out of the shed. I'm getting ready to wash them. But one thing I like to do with all of my canning jars when I first get them is after I wash them, I like to run my fingers around them suckers, okay? To make sure that the edge is nice and smooth, because I don't want to deal with the canning jar that's got an edge that's jacked up. This one, I don't know if you can see it. This has a chip on it right there. Maybe y'all can see it. I hope so. And anyway, so this is a no-go right there. There's a chip in there, okay? So this one's a dud, because I know good and well if I use that seal is not going to take, and I'm going to be upset. All right, we'll be back in a little bit. So I'm going to run a little bit of water through here, and then go ahead and strain off some of this juice, and then I'll probably end up pouring it back on top. All right. All right. I have a super hot jar here. I have my jars in the oven on 300 degrees, and I leave them in there for about at least 30 minutes. You got to watch yourself with this because the juice coming out of this is scalding hot. It will burn you. So you have to have on proper equipment and stuff to protect yourself. So like I say, I get about the first half a gallon, or excuse me, half a quart or close enough. I'm going to pour this back in. because most of the time your first drain off is going to be extremely diluted. You put this on something warm so it doesn't crack or break. Go ahead and pour some more grapes in here. Now something you can do is if you take all the stems off of your grapes from the beginning, which I probably should have went on and done. Once these break down, you could turn the leftovers or the remainder into leathers, which are like fruit roll-ups. You dehydrate them, or you could use it for jam if you wanted to, okay? All right, so we'll be back here soon. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to stir these up and put the new grapes on the bottom and put the juiced grapes on top. Alrighty. Alright, so now I'm going to try to hopefully fill a jar. The thing is with the steam juice extractor is sometimes you may not get a full jar at one time. You may get part of a jar here, part of a jar there, and then you just continue to fill it up until you get a whole jar. And then I'm going to go ahead and get my lids and rings together. And then once I am completely done, then I'm going to put these in the hot water bath canner. And I'm going to boil these for 10 minutes. Okay. I'm not going to go into the canning process with this video because I don't want to cover canning with this one. But I will come back and I will show you the finished product. Probably won't be until tomorrow when I finish this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Man, that's going to be delicious. I'm going to fill this just a little bit more in there, but I'll use a separate jar for that one. All right. I'll show you guys the finished product. All right. Phew, we are finally done. Okay, this is the pulp that is left over from the grapes. And once that cools, my earthworms and my chickens are going to have a heyday. All right, final product. Shoo, 8 quarts. Man, this gal tired. I'm ready to go to bed. All right, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed my video. Thank you for supporting my channel. And I hope you guys learned something tonight. Y'all have a good night. Bye.